So, China spent 2 decades pouring billions into the global south. From railroads in Africa to ports in Latin America, hell, to power plants in Southeast Asia. It was supposed to guarantee influence and loyalty. But here's what no one expected. The global south is walking away, and China might be too broke, too overextended, and too late to stop it. Welcome back to America's Geopolitics. If you're tired of the globalist bullshit and ready for straight talk, subscribe now. Today, we're breaking down one of the most underreported global shifts in history. Beijing is losing the very countries it spent years trying to buy off. And the West didn't even need to fight. It just waited. Let's start at the beginning. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, was supposed to build a global infrastructure empire tied to Chinese banks, locked into Chinese trade routes. You know, the Silk Road. And loyal to Chinese political influence. China funded over 13,000 projects across 140 countries. The promise was, we'll build what the West won't. Ports, highways, telecom, mining, you name it, they funded it. When I was in Africa, what they didn't fund was the actual completion. But then something went wrong. Most of these projects weren't free, they were loans. And not just any loans, they were high interest, opaque, and backed by collateral. So when countries like Sri Lanka or Zambia couldn't pay, China took the assets, or tried to. Sri Lanka lost its port for 99 years. Djibouti almost lost its naval base access. Dozens of African and Southeast Asian nations are now trapped in debt with projects they can't maintain and don't control. That's not development, that's colonization without extra paperwork. And now countries are quietly backing away. Kenya canceled a major Chinese rail expansion. Malaysia scaled back Beijing's East Coast Rail project. Indonesia shifted port partnerships to Japan and the US. Hell, Argentina is renegotiating loan terms with Washington instead of Beijing. Even Latin America, long courted by China, is drifting. Mexico, Colombia, Brazil-ish are rebalancing towards the US for trade and capital. They took China's money when it was easy, but now that the strings are tightening, hell, they want out. And here's the twist. The West isn't even pushing hard. Hell, I don't even think we cared about South America for the last 30 years. The US isn't offering trillion-dollar packages. Europe isn't flooding nations with infrastructure deals. But the West does offer stable currency, transparent contracts with laws, and fewer strings. It's just a loan, you know what you owe. And countries in the global South are realizing China may build fast, but it charges a steep long-term price. And those things are built with Chinese workers, not local workers. Meanwhile, the US has become the preferred export market, and nations are reorienting to tap into America's consumer base, not Beijing's control structure. Now, even if China wanted to turn it around, it's probably too late. The Chinese economy is slowing. As we talked about, youth unemployment is through the fucking roof. Foreign reserves aren't thinning, they're fucking vanishing. And Xi's government is pouring money into domestic stability, not foreign projects. The new wave of Belt and Road funding is really dried up. China is no longer writing blank checks, and for global South nations, that means they're left holding half-finished highways and deepening debt, with no way out but west. Yeah, half-finished highways, half-finished buildings, half-finished stadiums, you know, a lot of half-finished. So what we're witnessing is the collapse of deep Chinese influence in real time. The global South is realigning, slowly but decisively, towards bilateral trade with the US and the European Union, investment from Western firms, energy partnerships with North America, even India, once in China's orbit. This doesn't mean they trust Washington blindly, but they've seen what dependency on Beijing really looks like, and they don't want that. China tried to build the new world order from the bottom up by buying off the global South. And hell, it worked for a while, but now it's starting to crumble. The Belt and Road didn't buy loyalty. It bought resentment, debt, and the US, it's winning without even showing up to the fight. In fact, the best thing we can do at this point is probably not show up. Hey, if you like what you heard, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. This is Frank. We'll see you next time.